Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, and right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. That is International Diamond Center. Also, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Go visit them at comforttemp.com. Today's show, we'll have JC, we'll have Scott Carter, who was in New Orleans for Tulane's victory over North Texas. He'll give us kind of a recap of what he saw there, and the Tulane Green Wave are now playing for a national title. Let's go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we are joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Has a good weekend, and we got through the weather pretty well. Excited about the postseason in college football, as well as the home stretch in the NFL, where we have a team about 90 miles away that leads the division and is playing for a home playoff game. So a lot to look forward to. I've got Gator basketball tomorrow night. I'm gonna be in New York City, and if my itinerary allows, I'm going to go to the Garden and watch UConn and Florida play at 9:00. So that kind of just worked out. Mm-hmm. So I'm very fortunate and very happy to say that I'll be in the world's most famous arena watching Gator basketball. So yeah, this is a great week. I love this time of year. All good.
Are you going to go ice skating, JC, in New York?
I have done that before during the holidays at the Rockefeller Center and in Central Park. It is great. But, man, ice skating is hard for us Floridians. But I usually do it okay. I just can't go backwards. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's a good way to feel warm in the cold weather because you're always moving something. So I really like it. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the playoffs. Your thoughts,
okay.
JC?
Well, I listen. I understand why everybody's outraged about Notre Dame. I certainly see that. And I think the committee really kind of stumbled over themselves somewhat with the way they rank these teams on a weekly basis. I think we could probably spare ourselves that type of thing. You had a team that looked pathetic in the SEC championship game not move at all in the rankings. So I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I had a conversation with some guys at the clubhouse after a round of golf, QB. And I said to them, and they all looked at me as if I had three heads. But what I said to them was, if Alabama beats Auburn, they are in the playoffs. And they swore with 3 losses, there's no way that happened. And what I try to explain to them, and what I think the rest of America misses out on, is that loss in the championship game does not count against your regular season when other teams don't play either. And those were the whole conversation yesterday was about Notre Dame getting shafted. And admittedly, I think Notre Dame is clearly one of the best 12 teams in college football, but I also think their resume is pretty bad in terms of strength of schedule. I mean, you can't look at that schedule and tell me they beat anybody worthy of mention or with a pulse. But having said that, the teams, the mandate in the committee clearly says, or should say, or used to say, that the 12 best teams, according to the committee, would be in the playoff. And now we have this equity and inclusion thing with the 5 highest rated conference champions and an at-large. I mean, we've got 2 teams that I don't think should be in the playoff field in spite of the fact that they won their conferences. Because I don't think either one of them would beat Texas. I don't think either one of them would beat Vanderbilt. I don't think either one of them would beat Notre Dame. So it's pretty clear. I don't think either one of them would beat Alabama, believe it or not. So I think it's pretty clear to me that there's some misguided rules, if you will, and they don't have the 12 best teams because there are some teams that are not in the field that should be. But with that being said, there's really nothing you can do about it if you don't play. and none of those teams played. And the team that did play, well, if you're going to penalize them, then you could have kissed the SEC championship game goodbye. So that's just not reality, and people tend to look at emotionals. The thing was more about Alabama making it than Notre Dame not making it, it felt like to me, because, when Florida State got sent home after their season where they went undefeated and lost Jordan Travis in a meaningless FCS game, they spoke about Florida State in the first sentence, and then the rest of the conversation for the entire conversation was about Alabama. So I think we had the same thing happen here. And I really don't care about why people are so outraged for Notre Dame. I didn't know so many people cared about Notre Dame. Honestly, I don't. And I never have. I mean, QB, you and I are not Notre Dame fans. We don't sit around worrying about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's arrogance and not being able to share revenues that they enjoy from the postseason and being able to keep it themselves and think that they are on the same level as a team that has to battle through a conference schedule and play in a conference championship game is arrogant. And I'm not feeling sorry for Notre Dame. Okay. They're better than everybody else in everything. So why do we care so much? And I think that's more about Alabama and less about Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've never cared too much about Notre Dame. Kevin's question on YouTube. No, this is Titan our text line. You guys think Notre Dame will finally join a conference after this snub? Probably not.
No. If anything, they'll stay even more committed to their independence, but I don't think that helps them. And I think that's where the word arrogance comes into play. There's a sign in the hallway where they climb up and down the stairs before they enter and exit the field. And when they exit the field, says, play like a champion or something today, whatever. The sign now should say, quit like the champion you wish you were. And that's what the sign should say. Okay, what kind of message are we sending when they're just going to take the ball and go home? The message they're sending is to ESPN and those who want to watch them play that we're not going to let you watch us play. Even though we beat nobody with a pulse this year, you still won't be able to watch us play. To which I say, fine, I don't want to watch you play. How about that? So I'm not worried about it. My favorite Catholic team is Boston College anyway. So what do I care about Notre Dame?
Gator Man on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Pump, says Georgia beat the crap out of Bama. Negative rushing yard is not playoff worthy.
I said it during the game, QB. You were on the text thread. I said this is not a playoff team. And I don't know how many times I said during the months as the season wound down, the resume is good, but they can't run the football. And the pressure on the quarterback without run support is just too great. And Georgia is the kind of team that will feast on a one-dimensional offense. You know that. And they did. But if you dismiss the fact that they lost at home to Alabama in September, then the season means nothing. Okay, if you look at it objectively and without your hatred for Alabama, you would see that they had a good strength of schedule. They beat 4 ranked teams in a row, 2 of which were on the road. Notre Dame didn't do anything comparable to that the entire season. We know this. They beat Boston College. They beat Syracuse. They beat Army, Air Force, Navy, and the Marines. They beat the Coast Guard. They beat nobody. So, yeah, they looked good running it up on Arkansas, but so would anybody. So, I'm sorry.
Who was Notre Dame's best win, by the way?
It was Southern Cal at home, and they won by 10. And that was it. That was it. They beat Stanford at the end of the year in front of 16 people in the stadium, and 15 of those fans were Notre Dame fans. So enough already with the Notre Dame. It's people that either lost money or are ignorant or both that want to tell me that Notre Dame's resume was as good as Alabama's. You're just showing your hatred and your bias. And that's okay if you want to do that, but nobody cares. The committee, though, did not do a great job with this weekly ranking bullshit about putting Notre Dame in front of Miami and then at the end flipping them. I don't know how that happened, but I think it's right that Miami gets in. See, so they didn't have any consistency either. And if we go to 16 teams, I think this problem will be solved. I really do.
Someone just sent me a picture. I wish I could put it on here on the Titan our text line. It has a Notre Dame player touching the sign that says, opt out like a champion today.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
Listen, Art says Alabama's a joke, but it's only a joke, Art, if you hate Alabama. And, yeah, they played poorly against Georgia. I think a lot of teams would have on that day. But the reality is that Alabama did beat a lot of teams that were ranked when they played them. Alabama won 10 games. If you want to ignore that, fine. Just make yourself look as dumb as you are when you do. But if that means nothing, then what's the point of the season? So I'm not trying to say that Alabama's going anywhere in this playoff. I think they'll probably lose to Oklahoma again. You think I want to sit there as an Alabama graduate of 1986 and watch my team lose to the same team within 30 days? I don't want to watch that. I would not have minded at all if they were left out. It wouldn't have bothered me because I know this team can't win it, not with the way they play offense. So, you can make fun of them and disparage them and all this, but the reality is they did win 10 games, and you may not like that, but that's a fact. So,
Joseph on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, says there should be no conference championship automatic bids. Tulane and James Madison are going to provide bad round one games. This isn't basketball. Small schools can't hang in football. I do.
agree with that.
I would say this though. I don't know what the right. I'm a 24 team playoff guy. Like, I think FCS has done it well for years. Okay. I do think though, in Duke's case, they won the ACC. When you win the ACC championship basketball tournament, you automatically get a bid. I think being a Power Four conference, I think they should get in. Now, I'm not talking about in the format we have right now. They need to go to more teams, in my opinion. But I think they deserve it because they won the damn championship game. I don't know. That's just my two thoughts on that. So.
But I see that. But QB, let's be honest, the ACC is a classic joke of a conference.
No, I agree 1,000%.
They shouldn't have been in that
ACC
game.
Is garbage.
They should not have been in that game. Yeah,
but they were in the game, and I just feel like whether the rules are correct or wrong or however you believe, they're one of the Power Four conferences in America.
Yeah,
they won it.
Yeah,
so they should get in.
Well, Virginia would have if they had won. That's for sure. I think
that's they lost.
I know, but if they had won, they would have gotten in because of that game, and they would have been 11-2 if they would have counted that win and then taken them to. But they were 10-2 during the year.
The crazy thing is Duke won the conference.
Yeah, I know.
And Miami's in the playoffs.
That's again, it's laughable, but Miami. The argument really is between Miami and Notre Dame, if you want to think about it, but they always make it about Alabama, so that's fine. People hate the SEC outside the SEC.
Look, I understand the Alabama thing. I think Alabama deserves to be in there too because they were 10-2 going into the championship game, playing in the hardest conference in all of football. They should not be penalized for losing in the championship game. I agree with that 100%. Then some people can say, well, BYU has 2 losses all year long, and they lost both games to the number 4 team in America. So that's why I know if they go to 24, number 25, 26, 27, they're going to bitch and complain, but I just think it would make more sense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we talked about if Alabama plays poorly and if they lose a game and they get embarrassed, then maybe that bumps them out. And I see some merit to that. But then again, if they didn't even play in that game, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But I think I saw holes in this team after the Oklahoma loss at home, the turnovers, the lack of a running attack. And so I just don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think they're probably going to lose to Oklahoma again. But that doesn't guarantee that Notre Dame would have beaten anybody either. They probably would have. They're playing great, but they had no resume. I'm sorry, folks. They don't play in a conference. They don't share revenue in the postseason with other schools. They have their own freaking TV network. I don't care about how bad Notre Dame feels today when they take their ball and bag and they go home. It's too bad. I get it. They got probably shafted, yeah, but they didn't beat anybody this year, QB. That's the thing.
I agree.
That's the end of it. That's the end of the story. Yeah, I love it too. I mean, listen, Notre Dame, 1988, folks. That was the last time they carried anything heavy. Okay, 1988.
Yep.
That's a long time ago.
State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. All right, real quick. Silent J on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Shane and JC, on a positive note, the Indiana and Signetti story is phenomenal.
Oh, man. My God.
It's a great. these last 2 years, to me, are the greatest story in college football history.
It's crazy turnaround. 24 wins in 2 years at a program that could barely fill up half the stadium and was the perennial worst team in that conference on a year in, year out basis. And the change in college football rules allowed it to happen. But you have to give the coach, the guy who took advantage of those changes, rather than complaining about NIL and complaining about this and complaining about that and complaining about the transfer portal, all he did was build a monster. And that monster has every bit as many athletes as Ohio State did. I saw it on the field, man. And I think Indiana is a very worthy team. It's a great story, like you said. They will be in the Rose Bowl for the first time since the 60s? So what a story. They will bring 100,000 people out to Pasadena because it's just something nobody's ever done as a football fan from that state. Good for them. God bless them. They'll play the winner of Oklahoma, Alabama in the Rose Bowl.
Yep. And Mendoza probably won the Heisman Trophy.
I think he did.
It's so funny just looking at him. Doesn't he look like one of those guys that comes and knocks on your door to sell encyclopedias?
Yes, he does. Either that or some sort of Mormon membership with the Church of Latter-day Saints. He is just a happy kid. When he was looking directly in the camera on the Molly McGrath interview there, I think it was, at the end of the game, and you saw the smile on that kid's face. How can you not love Indiana? And you gotta root for him. And listen, Diego Pavia has done a great thing. He went to a school like Vanderbilt. They won 10 games. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again, QB. It may or may not, but he was the reason for it these last 2 years. He came on the scene a couple years ago playing for the New Mexico State Aggies. And what did he do? Well, he went to Auburn. And once again, Auburn, as they so often do, embarrassed the SEC and lost to New Mexico State and some guy named Diego Pavia. He transfers with his coach, Jerry Kill, to Vanderbilt, and the rest is history. And that's the team that, forget about Notre Dame. I feel worse for a team like Vanderbilt, who actually played in a conference schedule, which, by the way, is a lot harder to do than play independent, and played and won 10 games. I feel worse for Vanderbilt than I do Notre Dame. And they didn't even get mentioned hardly. And yet you're telling me that team couldn't beat JMU or Tulane? I think they would boat race both of them. So I think we're set up for 2 bad games out of the first 5. I think we're set up for 2 pretty good ones and one that, Oklahoma and Alabama, if that doesn't put you to sleep, I don't know what will. But the other 4 games will be 2 will be good and 2 should be. I think Miami and Texas A&M will be fun to watch. I'm excited about that one. So, I don't know, man. I feel bad for Vanderbilt. That's actually who I feel bad for. I don't feel bad for Notre Dame. I feel bad for Vanderbilt.
I agree.
QB, think about this. You remember back in the day when Penn State was independent and Joe Paterno and the Penn State University Lions were really fighting against joining the Big Ten, but the school did it anyway. They had a hard time adjusting to playing a 9-game conference schedule. It wasn't easy, was it? And Notre Dame has no concept of that. Neither do their spoiled, rotten, little arrogant fans. They have no concept of playing a conference schedule. It's a much different world. And Penn State had a hard time adjusting to that. And not until Kerry Collins showed up did Penn State show us anything in the Big Ten. They had nothing. Joe Pa got smoked by Iowa. And then the following week had to go play at Michigan State in the snow. And then the following week had a home game against Ohio State. That's a lot different than playing the freaking Air Force, Army, Navy Reserves, the Coast Guard, Syracuse, Boston College, and Stanford. So I'm sorry, Notre Dame. You suck. Your schedule sucks. How about that? You don't deserve to be in. How about that? Vanderbilt should have been put in front of them. Sorry, asses. So, yeah.
Mark from West Palm on the Titan of our text line says he met a booster from Vandy last week who told him that Pavia is going to go into entertainment as a professional wrestler after football. He has the personality for him. Yeah, he'd be great at that. Here's what's crazy. The two kids that are going to get the most Heisman votes, Mendoza and Pavia, were not 5 stars. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch. Now, I don't know what Mendoza, he went to Cal. He's from South Florida. I forgot which high school he played at. But neither were highly recruited, I'm sure, but it's about leadership. And I talk about the quarterback and things that you need on this show daily, so there's no reason to even talk about it anymore.
Where Mendoza came from, Cal, right? Where he was California?
Yeah, but he went to high school in Miami.
Wow, how about that? What a path.
He's a South Florida kid, and his brother's the backup.
Yeah,
he'll be the quarterback next year.
I thought he was hurt in that game, and he got up, had his shoulder really smacked pretty hard by Ohio State. Listen, and by the way, if you think Ohio State's done, don't. They're probably gonna have a different focus as well, because they walk through their season as well. But they have so much talent on that team that I think it's pretty clear they're gonna win their. I think they're gonna be in the finals. I still think Ohio State's gonna be in the finals.
Yeah. Florida victorious, Pride NIL partner of the Florida Gators joined today to help Florida victorious. God, there was something here on YouTube. I wanted to find it here. Oh, Christopher says, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. JC had more rushing yards on my couch Saturday night than Bama did.
They were awful. They were awful. I hated it. I'm so glad that I canceled my trip to Atlanta and didn't go to that. The weather was part of the reason, but the other part of the reason was that I knew in my heart deep down, I said, this ain't going to be our time to beat them. We've been beating them for years and years and years. They've never beaten Alabama in the SEC game. It was going to have to happen at some point, and Saturday was the perfect time for it to happen. And listen, Georgia, if you forget or sleep on them, you're making a big mistake, because that team is just brutal. And I think if Stockton plays well, it really comes down to him to me. They're good enough to win it as well. If they end up playing Ohio State, that's going to be a colossal game. Or Indiana. I'm putting Indiana on the same level as Ohio State. If Georgia ends up playing one of those two, you're going to see a fantastic final. And all this crap with Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, Alabama, Notre Dame, all of this will be forgotten when we get to a classic final game, and then we can move on.
Mendoza was a 3-star, played out of Miami Columbus High.
Yeah.
Brian says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Shane, what are your thoughts on the new Gator OC? Do you think he will have good passing? I think Buster Faulkner is outstanding at what he does.
That's good.
Don't get caught up in what you've seen at Georgia Tech. A lot of the QB run game that's designed because Haynes King is limited throwing the football, and that's from their head coach. But Buster Faulkner is very good at what he does.
And by the way, how about Tulane the other night? I mean, they may not beat Ole Miss, and they got blown out by Ole Miss earlier in the season, but I think they're better than they were back then. And your head coach, I think I picked Tulane on Friday, QB. I did.
You did.
And I think Tulane is a team that overachieves. They outperform, and that's a function of the guy they've got leading them, who is now going to be the guy the Florida Gators have leading them. And I think this is all so positive and so good for the Gator fans who have been dying here in the last decade. So I think it's great. This will be a resuscitation of a program that's been on the mat. And this guy is the right hire. You guys are going to be so happy. I really do believe it. Florida fans have a lot to be excited about.
Just think if Tulane upsets Ole Miss, they have their next game in the Superdome.
Yeah. Against Georgia, right? Is that right?
I think so.
God, Tulane in the Sugar Bowl. It'll be like 1968 or whatever. It's really crazy. Ole Miss has had a lot of distractions. I wouldn't put it past them, but I think Mississippi wins that game. But listen, root for Coach Summerall. Watch Tulane do what they do. This guy Getzlaff is a pretty damn good player. And if you have a quarterback QB, you have a chance. You know that.
Very true. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union, or Stephen Orr Spurrier Banks. 1948 Heisman Trophy Award went to, JC?
And that's probably some guy at Notre Dame, because that was the last time they won anything.
No, 1948, he played at SMU.
Okay.
Doak Walker.
And there's an award for him. By the way,
running back award.
Real quick before you get to Scott, did you watch any NFL yesterday at all? Because you didn't golf.
I played in the indoor. You don't know that Gainesville, we have a new indoor golf facility.
Yeah, you are
18 holes.
You are something else. You are fanatical about your golf. That's great.
No, I did not play. I watched a little bit here and there.
Well, I tell you, Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence are starting to click.
They got it going on.
They got it going on, and the receiver that they got from the Raiders, Jacoby Myers, just adds another wrinkle that maybe Travis Hunter wasn't able to fill. And when you have Brian Thomas Jr. actually catching footballs now, and Parker Washington and this guy, Parker Washington and this other guy, Patrick, they've got some threats. And the strange kid, the tight end, look, they're going to beat the Jets. They're a game ahead of Houston, who, by the way, was very impressive last night, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're a game ahead of Houston. They split the season series. They've got a very great opportunity playing the Jets, the Titans, and I think they have to play at Denver, so that's going to be a tough one. But I think they've got a schedule that allow them to potentially win the AFC South, be the third seed in the AFC playoffs, and have a home playoff game. So the Jaguars are live right now, for sure.
Yep, they are playing good ball, no question about it. The Chiefs are done.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
No,
and they don't look the same.
They are not the same. I mean, all these dynasties do come to an end at some point, but I tell you, the happiest fan base on earth is the Buffalo Bill fan base, because they don't have to look at Kansas City. They don't have to think about Kansas City, and nobody will play at Kansas City this year in the postseason because they cannot win their division. So because of that, I think it's really fun for the AFC to have somebody like New England with 2 losses, the Denver Broncos with 2 losses. Buffalo will still be sniffing around with Josh Allen, the best player in the game to me. And I think that, I think the AFC could be a real thrill. Jacksonville's playing great football, and I wouldn't count out those damn Houston Texans. The way they play defense is unrivaled in the league, I think. So tonight we got the Eagles and the Chargers. This is an opportunity for the Chargers to stay alive and send Eagles to their 5th loss. Nobody would be upset about that. So, the NFL, this is a great time of year, man. And we're going to see some real exciting results here in the next couple of weeks for sure.
All right, real quick, G. Joseph on YouTube says, QB, have you changed your stance on the Rebels not letting Lane Kiffin coach? I was with your stance at first, too, but after everything with him going to a rival, I think the right decision was made. I like your take. I haven't really thought about it. I think if Lane probably – I don't know. We don't know all the insides and outs of the whole situation. Let's just say if Lane had accepted the Florida job, would they have allowed him to coach? We don't know the answer to that. We're allowing John Summerall to coach his team.
I think it's somewhat of a difference. I know the situation seems similar, but here's the thing. If they let Lane Kiffin coach, that's fine. But they would have been given all of those players every reason to follow him to LSU. And even though they still may do that, they may still do that.
Still follow him.
They still may do that. But it doesn't, to me, it's not reality to have you working for 2 competing schools. They are rivals in the SEC. Tulane and Florida have nothing between the 2 of them. So I'm saying, let's take LSU out of the mix and let's say Lane Kiffin came to Florida. Do you think it would still be the same situation? Well, it would only be different in name only, but probably not the same. But I do think that LSU, having him go to LSU, and really Ole Miss, all they wanted was him to commit to their school the way he was committing to 2 other schools, and then finally made a decision on one of those 2 other schools. The fact is that Lane Kiffin wanted to coach LSU more than what he wanted to do for the playoff team, for the playoffs at Ole Miss. That's the truth. The one way Lane Kiffin could have guaranteed that he would be coaching in the playoffs is by staying at Ole Miss, and he chose not to do that. That's the very bottom line of the whole document. So Ole Miss is going to be fine. They're going to probably beat Tulane and get ready to play in the second round. And their team is mostly all intact, and they have their offensive coordinator calling the plays. So that's going to help that Charlie Weiss is there. I think Mississippi will be fine.
Yeah, it should be a good game. JC, good stuff as always. We'll see you.
All right, brother. See you then.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Highline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. He was at the Tulane championship game. We'll get his thoughts. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Rue's Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Gator fans, this one's for you. Introducing Castaway Sauce Company, the hot sauce made by Gators for Gators. Their signature ball kicker hot sauce is inspired by Steve Spurrier's famous kick that beat Auburn in '66. If you love hot sauce with real flavor, not just heat and vinegar, Castaway delivers. Available at select public supermarkets, Castaway Sauce Company is founded by a lifelong Gator and proud UF alum. From mild to wild, they've got a flavor for every Gator tailgate. Grab your Castaway hot sauce today and taste the tradition. Learn more at CastawaySauceCompany.com.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football.
Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand.
We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers
And go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. Back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy at Comfort Temp, our man Scott Carter, who was down on Bourbon Street all weekend. What's up, my man?
Yeah, I wish I was on Bourbon Street, but I was not, Shane. It was a working trip to New Orleans, which spoils a lot of the fun, right? But glad to be back, and it was a good trip, talking to Coach Summerall and getting to know him a little better. So that was why I was there.
Yeah, well, tell us about it. I mean, obviously it was a pretty intense game there for a while. Two, group of 5 teams going at it, but he wins a championship and now he gets to coach in the playoffs. Do you know kind of like, I think I read somewhere, Scott, where he's going to be working for the Gators this week and his team and coaches and players are going to run the meetings and the lists and all the practices, but he'll be working for the Gators this week and then he goes back to Tulane the week before the game. Did I read that correctly?
Well, what he told me was that he was flying back into Gainesville yesterday, Sunday. He's going to be here today and maybe another day, and then go back out there and get some game prep going. And I mean, he's just in total flux right now. He said he's sleeping about 4 hours a night, but he's having the time of his life. He was joking like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I must just be a football maniac because I'm having fun, and people are saying that it looks like I'm having too much fun. So he's in his element, but yeah, he is splitting time. And, last week, of course, he was getting the team ready out in Tulane on a short week. And he also had to close National Signing Day at Tulane and Florida. So I think overall he got 34 players between the two schools, and both pretty solid classes for where they were. And Yeah, he's a unique guy, man. I mean, I really enjoyed kind of just watching him work on Friday night during the game, and then afterward, just talking to him a little bit about what the last week's been like for him. And he's just living in the moment, man. You can tell he's really enjoying it all.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool afterwards. I saw him, taking pictures, signing autographs with a lot of the fans after the celebration there at the end. That's the last game he will coach on that field as the Tulane head coach. So it's pretty cool seeing that. We got a text here, Scott, on the Titan Mar text line from Billy. He wants to know, Scott, do you think any Tulane players transfer to Florida?
I mean, there's always that possibility. I know if you look at his track record, that doesn't seem to be a big thing he's done. Of course, he's never had an opportunity like Florida. And there are some young guys on that roster like the Jack Chienchu, who had a great defensive game against North Texas the other night, and he did follow him from Troy to Tulane. He didn't really play at Troy his first year. Last couple of years has emerged as a really big time playmaker for them. Could he come to Florida? I mean, there's always that possibility. But just the way he handled his recruiting class and talked about that, he didn't want to leave Tulane empty-handed and poach some of those players if there were any that maybe translated to Florida well. So I don't know what that's going to look like. But I think in today's college football, it would almost be unusual for a coach to go from a Tulane to a Florida and might not have a couple of guys follow him. So I think that's a real possibility, but it's not something that, I think he's talked about or, it's at the top of his list right now.
Yeah, John says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, it seems like conflict of interest recruiting for both teams. What if Summerall wanted players for Florida? Well, he's going to get a different type of player when it pretty much 95% of the time for the Gators than he would at Tulane. And there may be some players that he had no chance of getting at Tulane that now he can get to come to Florida to play for him. We got another text on the Titan Mar text line from William. He wants to know, Scott, did he mention anything when he's going to try to solidify his staff?
I mean, it's ongoing. I know that he obviously made the big hire with Brad White. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the other reports out there. I do fully expect, 2 or 3 guys from Tulane to join him. I just think it's in flux. I mean, he's trying to get his team ready, trying to learn Florida, just trying to. I mean, they're in that that position of a family having to move from state to another state. So I know his wife was coming with him yesterday. I'm sure maybe to look around at some places. So there is a lot going on there. The staff is clearly something that I would think that he would have in place probably right after Tulane's final game. Maybe most of them will be in place by then, and he'll announce who might be coming with him. But I think it'll be a mix of staff, as you've seen already. And I don't know. People ask me, well, is there any chance for any of the Gators' current coaches being retained? I don't know. I haven't heard that, being, buzzed around the building or with Summerall the other night. But I mean, there's always that chance. I don't think he's really gotten into that part of it too much yet, except the key hires.
Yeah, Scott, kind of explain the best you can. A lot of people have asked me this. We don't know if or who he may keep from the staff that just coached for the Gators.
Yeah.
Their job, though, is still day-to-day what they're supposed to do for the Gators, whether that's recruiting, whatever it may be. That is correct, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the contracts right in front of me. Some of the guys' contracts, maybe they run out at the end of January, or I just don't know. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, as long as they're still employed, they're gonna be doing what they do. But I mean, they're also, I mean, we all know the business. I mean, if you don't think you're getting retained, you're looking for another job too. So Summerall, for all I know, maybe he's already told some of these guys, hey, we're going to go with another direction. Feel free to look around. So it's an agent-driven business. They are on the phone. Their agents are. For the guys who don't think they're going to be here, you can already bet they're throwing some lines out into the water. It'll also be interesting. Maybe Billy Napier picks up a couple of these guys at James Madison. So there's a lot of moving parts. Like I said, I don't know right now as we sit here if there will be any retained. Maybe there will be. I just don't know. I don't think anybody knows right now. So, but they will have opportunities. Coaches are never out of work for long, Shane, if they don't want to be.
No, very true. We got a lot of comments on both Facebook, YouTube, and on the Titan Mar text line regarding, have you heard anything about Phil Troutline possibly as the O-line coach and Coach Ogeron? Go Gators. Go Gators.
Coach Ogeron, he was at the game the other night. I'm walking through the concourse. I see a guy who has 4 or 5 people around him trying to take selfies. I'm like, well, that looks like Ed Orgeron. And sure enough, it was. He was there. His stepson is actually on Coach Summerall's staff. And so he was there for that. And obviously, I've seen the rumors like everybody else. Could it be Coach Orgeron? Could it be Troutwine? I think both guys, if they want to coach offensive line for John Summerall, I think both would be pretty good options. I mean, the Gator ties with Troutwine. Obviously, Orgeron, he needs no plug or anything what he's done in his career. So again, it's just what's John Summerall want? What's he looking to do at that position? Does he have somebody already in mind that we don't know about? I just don't know. And but yeah, I've certainly seen those. I don't know where that any of those are in terms of negotiations or reality right now.
Yeah, we had a couple of people. Here's one right here, Kevin on the Titan Mar text line. He says, I'm really impressed with this coaching transition. I have a lot of respect in how Summerall has handled the situation. I think everybody will agree with that. And I think it's great that Scott Strickland and the people in charge allowed him to continue with this run that Tulane is on. We don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing when I met with him after the game the other night, he expressed, like how thankful he was to Florida and Tulane for allowing this to happen. And, one of the more interesting moments of the press conference afterward, someone asked him about, doing that. And the quarterback, Jake Ratzloff, he kind of interjected. So, hey, look, I want to get something clear here. This guy's their coach. We're never going to have a team like this again. We're never going to have a coach like this again. He deserves to coach wherever he wants next. And, it's very rare you see a college player kind of interject himself into question to the coach and to get his point across. But, I mean, you could tell that John Summerall is so well liked out there, well respected by his players. And, he said that basically he knew that, he had a chance to go to Auburn if he wanted it. It was looking that way until Florida came back into the picture late. And then Florida had to act fast. And he said basically after a second meeting with Scott Strickland that him and his wife sat down and said, look, we can go to Auburn. We can perhaps go to Ole Miss. We can stay here. But his wife was like, I think you should go to Florida. And he just felt really good with his conversation with Scott, liked it. And his wife said, if the fans are cold to warm up to you, don't worry. Just be yourself. You'll win them over. And I think that's pretty good advice from his wife in my little time around him, because this guy, he makes you feel like, you've known him for 20 years after 3 minutes, Shane. That's just the kind of personality he is. So I think in time, Gator fans are really going to like this guy. And if he wins, they're going to love him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's switch gears a little bit, Scott. Just give me your thoughts. I mean, that was a lot of discussion when I had JC on earlier, the college football playoffs. Notre Dame getting left out. Are you glad they got left out? Or are you a Notre Dame guy? JC and I are glad they got left out. But I understand Notre Dame's gripe, but it is what it is.
I'd like to be in your all's camp because I'm no Notre Dame fan by any means, although last summer I did stop there on a trip and bought a Four Horsemen T-shirt that sits in my closet somewhere, toured the stadium and the campus, beautiful place. But yeah, I mean, even though I'm not a Notre Dame fan, they should be it. I mean, to me, James Madison getting in over them, that's just, I just didn't like it. I like the fact that the group of 5 schools do get in. I think Tulane, in my view, was more deserving than James Madison. So, but I just like to see Notre Dame in there, man. And It's never going to be perfect. And if it was 16 teams, the 17th or 18th team would be complaining. That's just where we are. But I do think when it's a brand like Notre Dame and they're getting left out, it is going to create conversations on steroids. And that's what you've seen in the last 12 hours or so. This is going to be debated all week. It's going to be talked about for a long time. And there'll be more changes in the future, Shane. But your question, I would have liked to seen them in just because I think they're deserving.
Kobe asked here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, when is the portal open? It's for like 2 weeks starting in January, correct?
Opens on January the 2nd, closes on January 16th. So it's still, a few weeks away. But there will definitely be some more roster movement, I'm sure, for the Gators at that point. And by that time, Summerall should be, in Gainesville and rolling. Unless Tulane shocks us all, we'll see. That's the portal, January 2nd through 16th.
Were you surprised at all with Coach Napier getting the James Madison job?
I mean, not when you say James Madison, though. I think that's a perfect fit for him. I didn't see him getting another Power 4 job right away just because of how it went at Florida. But I think his style, his approach as not only a coach, but a teacher, a leader of men, I think it fits maybe well at James Madison more than certain bigger schools. But I didn't know what the future looked like for him. Glad to see him rebound. I thought maybe he would be an assistant or a coordinator like a lot of these guys do. Maybe go somewhere and be an analyst at Alabama or somewhere like so many head coaches have done in recent years before rejoining the mix. But he obviously wanted to get right back on the horse, and good for him. We'll see how it works out. But I mean, I do think on paper it's a good fit in my eyes.
It just goes to show you these coaches, man, they know nothing else. They have nothing else to do but coach football, right? I mean,
it really does. And I get it, man, because it's your passion. He's in his mid-40s. You're not going to want to do this forever. So I do get that. But I also wonder, like, man, he just got a $10 million check. And he's also got some more coming to him. He's already got a lot of I may just go to the Bahamas or something, man.
Yeah. Get a hobby. Pick up a hobby, fish, hunt, golf, do something. Yeah. All right, before we get you out of here, Scott, Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Scott, can you share the conversation you had with the Tulane player Warren Roberts after the game?
Oh, yeah, he was the kid. So it was a late night out there, Shane. And by the time I walked out of the Summerall's office, it was 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 here. So, and I had to park in some garage on campus about 15 minutes from the stadium. So I'm walking through some neighborhood, dark tree-lined street, and I see this kid in front of me with a player backpack on. And I catch up with him. I say, "Hey, man, you're a player, right?" He says, "Yeah." So I told him what I was out there for. I just left Summerall's office. I said, "Look, everybody I talk to here loves this guy. I talk to, coaches. I talk to fans. I talk to, players. I mean, what's your take, man? He was a young guy, a freshman." I said, "I mean, well, is he just the real deal like I'm hearing?" He says, "Oh, man, that's coach. That's him." He says, "Players love him. He's a guy that he's very authentic. What he tells you is the way it is. He doesn't, try to trick you into coming there on the recruiting trail. Then it ends up being something else." And he said everything, basically reiterated what I'd heard. But it was just interesting to get it from a kid walking down the street who's on the team. We were close to his house when we were talking, so we ended the conversation there. But it was just one of those things where John Summerall, he could definitely run for the mayor of New Orleans, I think, and win.
Yeah, I think you're right. Kobe asked here before we get out of here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, do you think the backup QB Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech will transfer to Florida since Buster Faulkner is the new OC? I would probably say yes. I've just heard from some people that follow Georgia Tech, some high school coaches that I know that know him. He's the all-time leading passer in the history of Georgia high school football. So have you heard anything about that, Scott?
Kind of what you're saying there. You know that little trending arrow you see on social media. If somebody's asking me that, for sure, I'd say it seems to be trending in that direction.
Yeah. You got any good articles other than what you've been writing while you've been down on Bourbon Street late at night? You got any other stuff you're going to post on FloridaGators.com?
I mean, I will this week. More Summerall, more Gators, just trying to, in the aftermath of National Signing Day. And, if you didn't read the story, that I stayed up a long time since I did an all-nighter, Shane. I left I got to my hotel about, I don't know, it was about 1 local time. I had to be at the airport at 6:30. So I just wrote my story in the hotel, didn't even sleep, went straight to the airport, flew to Gainesville. So that story is up on FloridaGators.com. It's a longer read than normal, so hopefully people will check it out and maybe learn a little bit something about John Summerall they didn't know.
Awesome stuff. That is Gator Scott. That's how you can follow him on Twitter. We appreciate your time, my friend.
All right, Shane, you have a good one, my man.
You too. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians, great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, and also the Florida Cracker Oyster Bar in Keystone Heights. Check them out, FloridaCracker.com. Again, thanks to JC and Scott Carter for joining the program. Before we get out of here, the Pouncey Twins provide all the Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll talk some Gator hoops tomorrow. They play UConn at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night. Have a great day, folks. Take care.